Canada, Ethiopia and Rwanda are among 11 countries that will be allowed to resume international flights to Kenya from Saturday this week. While announcing the protocols for resumption on international flights in the country, Transport Cabinet Secretary James Macharia has said the countries cleared have shown a decline in COVID-19 cases with limited transmissions. As the government prepares for the resumption of international flights into and out of the country on Saturday this week, the Ministry of Transport has issued protocols to be followed. Transport Cabinet Secretary James Macharia says only 11 countries have been cleared to fly into the country. They include China, Canada, South Korea, Japan, Zimbabwe, Ethiopia, Switzerland, Uganda, Rwanda, Namibia and Morocco.
Let me say this is not a blanket approval. And so we do have initially a list of countries from which passengers will be allowed. This will be a list which will be reviewed on an ongoing basis, because you know this issue about COVID is not static. It gets better, it gets worse. So whereas we have an initial list here, by tomorrow we shall review that list depending on circumstances on the ground when we do the global mapping of the threat and intensity of the coronavirus.
All passengers arriving into the country with PCR symptoms will be exempted from quarantine. Passenger tickets for clearance will be allowed to proceed to their hotels or residence, while passengers departing after curfew with valid air tickets and boarding passes will be allowed to proceed to destinations or departure airports. Drivers picking or dropping passengers past curfew hours at the airport will have to show evidence. Passengers departing after curfew with valid air tickets and boarding passes will also be allowed to proceed to destination or departure airport. Air operators will have to provide guidance materials for passengers on preventative measures on board. Where physical distancing is not guaranteed, the crew must make reminder announcements. Ministry of Transport says it is reviewing timing of flights to facilitate physical distancing at the flights. The Ministry of Transport and Infrastructure, in collaboration with Airport Authority, will also review the timing of flights to facilitate physical distancing at the airport.
In terms of the protocol, number 2 of what we are going to highlight, for passengers, for those passengers traveling out of the country, meaning you and me, they'll be required to abide by the particular travel, health, and COVID-19 related requirements of the destination country. So before you travel, make sure that you know where you're going, what that country expects. We also like to put some heavy responsibility on the airlines. Before you board your passengers, just like you check on the visa requirements, just make sure that your passengers comply with the requirements of where they are going.
At least 5 international companies have confirmed to resume their flights into the country. The 5 are Qatar Airways, British Airways, KLM, Emirates and Air France, according to Tourism Cabinet Secretary Najib Balala. And as